coming back. This is the second half of my conversation with Cliff. I just want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by Chameleon Cafe off Highway 371 next to Brainerd International Raceway. You can stop into Chameleon Cafe for the best breakfast, tacos, and sandwiches in the Brainerd Lakes area. They are open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday, and 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Sundays. Those are their winter hours right now. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google, and get current information if you are listening to them sometime this podcast at some point other than the winter of 2020. All right, so without further ado, here's the second half of my conversation with Mr. Cliff Nelson. All right, thanks for coming back. We were just chatting a bit about some current events. Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren had a little verbal dust up after the last debates. Cliff, you want to give us your little insight on it at all?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of trying to call each other out on sexism stuff and trying to play victim, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I found it. I'm going to get a little conspiratorial. I found it pretty interesting. For those who aren't aware of this, you know, they can obviously Google it. But basically, what happened is CNN got an anonymous tip that Bernie Sanders had told Elizabeth Warren that a female couldn't be president, and then CNN called the Warren campaign. She responded and said that the story was true. And then in the debate, of course, they asked him about it. He denied it. She asked him about it. And she said it was true. And then their mics were still on. They had hot mics, and they came up to each other afterwards. And, did you just call me a liar on TV? Oh, you called me a liar. So very interesting.
You know, I remember what it came down to now that I think about it. And it really came down to him being asked if he thought anybody could beat him. And he was like, nobody can. And that's kind of what he was like, well, nobody can.
Well, yeah,
so it's like, oh, do you think a woman can? Well, nobody can.
He said something, like if that anybody on the stage, woman or man, gets the nomination. Hope not. Hope it will be me.
Yeah, exactly.
Pardon me in my Bernie impression. Yeah, he did get his little he did show his ego a little bit there, yeah. But anyways, my little conspiratorial take on it is this was only reported to CNN. So to me, this is just a little like, man, you have somebody who's working for the Warren campaign or a volunteer, make this phone call to CNN and tell them the story, and then CNN calls Elizabeth Warren and she confirms it, and boom, there's the story. There's no third-party confirmation. It's not reported to any other news agency. It just stinks of a classic little dust-up.
Okay, you want my hot take on this one?
Yeah.
It's CNN, right?
Yeah.
They're calling CNN to tell them about sexism on Bernie's part. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now Bernie's a sexist, and CNN wants to talk all about Bernie being a sexist.
Oh, yeah,
CNN does not like Bernie. Mm-hmm. We know this. Everybody knows this. And I don't know. To me, it seems very convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think my conspiracy might have some weight to it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I try to.
And it's like it's a really easy way to also be like, well, this is a woman. She wants to be president. How could you not vote for a woman because she's going to be, you're a woman.
First woman president.
Too. Hey, wait, you're a woman too. Do you not stand up for women?
That's really.
Come on. Stop playing into people's fucking.
Yeah, I think
I think it's pretty gross to sort of use gender as a basis to voting. Like, it's weird.
That's identity politics.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, you know, like
you identify as how could you as a woman not vote for this person as a woman? Well, obviously I don't agree with what she fucking wants, and that doesn't make me sexist because I decided that I didn't want to vote for her or.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, people get into these, you know, tribal mindset, you know, and they have this hard time believing that there's, you know, gay Republicans or black Republicans or women Republicans. Like those are all a thing. Mexican Republicans, you know, your gender and your race and your ethnicity, and you know, even one country you came from doesn't imply the way you're going to vote. No. And to try to think that way is toxic, I think.
Yeah.
In and of itself, and it's, you know, I mean, you're by thinking that way, you're kind of being sexist and racist. And,
exactly.
You know, you really are.
Exactly. If you're voting for somebody based on their gender because of that gender, then you yourself are being sexist.
I agree. No.
There's no like ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's the way it works. But people are going to do what they want to do, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the way you choose to vote, like, and you want to be verbal about it, that's fine.
It's just too bad that people play into that kind of shit.
I agree. It is unfortunate.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Okay, it's unfortunate for the people who play into it who are voting based on that, but it's even more unfortunate yet that people who are trying to get votes are playing into that.
Well, you know, I mean, ultimately in this country, an uninformed vote counts the exact same as a well-informed vote.
Yep.
And I think that's what both major parties play to is uninformed voters, mostly, you know. And they probably think they're well-informed. And some of them probably are very well-informed. I hate to sit here and group people into things myself.
No, actually,
but, you know, like,
I'm telling you right now, you don't know. No, just kidding.
But, you know, I think that's definitely, you know, that's populism, as we were talking about. You know, that's you know, they say things that's going to drum up their bases, that's going to generate, you know, because ultimately what they're looking for is sound bites. They don't want, you know, a long, great explanation on why we should revise the tax system in this country isn't going to get you votes.
Yeah.
You know, sound bites, you know, saying, hey, vote for me, the first woman president, that's going to get you votes, you know. Ultimately, I think that's what it breaks down to is the majority voters don't have the time, you know, with family and kids and jobs and everything else to be super well informed on these issues, or you know, have a you know, sort of a philosophical base that they want to lean back on.
You know, unfortunately, a lot of people don't think about it in general, anyways.
No, yeah, they watch
like,
their 30 minutes worth of news, or
a lot of people are like, I vote R or I vote D, and that's the way it is.
That's the way it is. Yeah, for sure.
It's hard.
Yeah, and you know, it's crazy. They play to those bases really hard, but it's really the swing voters that matter. You know, it's the people like you and me that are looking at the issues and looking at the candidate more closely. You know, that really.
Yeah, one thing I pay a lot of attention to when I hear people talk, specifically, you know, whatever politician is looking for whatever votes, is the freaking language they use and the way they say things.
Right.
Like, you know it. You hear it when people say certain things. It's like you could tell they're like saying a certain sentence. They're saying certain words.
Oh yeah.
Because those words are buzzwords.
Yeah.
People are going to listen to and be like,
yep, like I said, sound bites. Yeah. Those little, you know, you need those like phrases that can fit on a bumper sticker.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. Specifically, lately there was what's his name, Gazelka here in town, talking about the mining that was going to happen up on the border, on the boundary waters.
Okay.
Right. So he puts out a thing saying something along the lines of, unfortunately, liberal judges, liberal courts, and extreme radical environmentalists won't let us do this. Okay. Now, what's the first thing that happens when you hear liberal courts, extreme environmentalists to your mind? Automatically, if you don't like liberals and you don't like environmentalists, you're going to be like, oh, fuck those guys.
Yeah.
And you're not even going to think anything of it any further than that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So basically, in my opinion, when somebody uses language like that, they are like, they think you're dumb. They think you're so stupid that you're not going to look into what they're saying because they stopped you with those buzzwords. They stopped you dead in your tracks.
Something like 90% of people don't read past the headline.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I've seen headlines. And
I specifically try to look at the article, and I've seen headlines that don't even match the article.
Yeah. That's what I was say. I've literally read articles where a sentence in the first paragraph contradicts the headline.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just as a fictional, for instance, it could say, Florida man, eaten by gator, and then, in the first paragraph, it'll say, the Florida man shot the gator, and then cooked it and fed it to his family. But wait, that's the opposite. Yeah,
exactly. That's. And that's kind of what, in my opinion, when somebody uses that kind of ploy, not only is it thinking that the people, counting on, it's basically counting on tribalism.
Yeah.
He counts on it. He counts on your tribalism so that he can be like, I'm going to say this is going to stop you from looking any further into this situation.
Yeah.
And he's counting on your tribalism, but he's also dividing. He's like making you think, okay, fuck those people, and at the same time, that fuck those people is putting you in a hatred mode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe you don't necessarily hate, whatever, but just the fact that you are like seeing this liberals
Yeah, you're pushing that tribalism mentality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and this is obviously mining in general is a complex issue, and I think here in Minnesota we should have extra onus on protecting our waters,
especially.
And so I don't know enough about this issue to even what I mean, I'm sure that but that's the thing is I would this is obviously a complex issue. Can we mine northern Minnesota and not endanger our waters? Is that that's instantly just where I'm like, and I don't know if we can do that. That's but I don't think the two bases are going to go that way. Your two bases are, industry is good. Let's mine it. Who cares about the water supply? Yeah. And no way should we pull these minerals out of the earth. We need to protect the water at all costs.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably some middle ground to be found there.
I think the key word that we need to be putting out there is nuance.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nuance with
for sure.
all of this stuff.
Yeah.
There's no magic bullet. There's no no, don't ever mine, because maybe there's a possibility to do it the right way.
That might be the only option for jobs in northern Minnesota.
But at the same time, another thing that I always come back to whenever this environmentalist stuff comes up is it's when people do this right wing versus left wing, environmentalists are left wing, that this kind of thing, people seem to forget that hunters and fishermen rely specifically on the environment. You rely 100% on the environment.
Yeah.
And when you think of people who are really hardcore into hunting and fishing, how do they vote?
Probably mostly Republican.
Yeah, exactly. So you're pushing these Republicans who are relying on the environment, telling them that only people who care about the environment are radical environmentalists
Yeah.
and liberal courts.
Yeah.
And what are you doing?
Yeah,
You know,
I it's complete. Yeah, I agree. It's preposterous. Yeah, I mean, conservatives by nature want to conserve things, So there's not a lot of conservative politicians left, but I think there's lots of conservatives still voting Republican.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and hunters and fishermen, like, they pump more money into saving the environment than anything. I mean, every time you buy a box of ammo or a gun, there's taxes in there that go specifically for wildlife refuges and things like that. So yeah, I mean, going back, Nixon created the EPA.
He also created the DEA.
Yeah, yes, he did. He called it the DEA. It was already the Department of Narcotics or something.
We should actually call it the anti-hippie movement.
right. But and industrialists, rich industrialists in the 1800s, formed the Sierra Club. I'm thinking Teddy Roosevelt created the national park system. So yeah, I mean, conservatives by nature want to conserve things. Like I said, I think there's just a real lack of actual conservatives within the Republican Party, which is why you also see Republicans will campaign on lowering taxes and small government and less waste, and then they continue to run the budget up because, and I think that's a part of the problem of the federal government overall having all this money is there's all this federal money and everybody wants to get their little pork barrel project in their region and bring jobs and money to their region. And so, like, it's this double-edged sword where, you might go to Congress, railing against pork barrel spending and lowering taxes and less federal spending, and then you get there and everybody's grabbing a piece of that pie. And if you don't grab a piece of it for your district, you're going to be at a loss. Like, you're losing it. If you're not going to get it, somebody else is. So I think it's just sort of a failure of our own government. It's just gotten so big it can't do anything but continue to grow until it collapses. Hopefully that'll be later instead of sooner, but I'm definitely concerned about the debt.
Yeah, and that comes back to the conservatism in the Republican Party and the whole marijuana issue.
Yeah.
That baffles the fuck out of me.
Me too.
It really does, because I when you think about what conservatism is, it's like personal freedom.
Yeah.
And
classic liberalism.
That's not personal freedom.
Yeah.
We're going to keep these rules on the book, in the books, but don't worry, we're conservative here. That. Okay, what? I'll tell you what. Conservatives are the first ones that are going to tell you that we are not the nanny state. We do not tell you how to live your life. You live your life on your own. And as a parent, you need to teach your kids how to be upstanding citizens. But then, wait, we're not going to let you smoke marijuana because
immoral. It's immoral.
Stupid idea.
It's immoral. I mean, some of these people are still throwing out Henry Anslinger era propaganda.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely preposterous. I haven't had a guest yet that has been anti-legalization. I wonder if I'll run across one.
The only time I've run into people who are anti-legalization have literally been Republican.
My parents
in the Republican Party.
Yeah. And even that's fading for sure. My parents are pushing 70. They're both Republican, and they've been pro-legalization as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
They've always been like, this is so stupid to put people away for marijuana.
Yeah.
So,
and
I mean, yeah, even that old school, whatever the frame of thought that they got going on, that's fading. Or maybe it's not there in the numbers that Republicans think it is.
Do you remember a few years back when California had that Prop 19?
Not really.
Well, okay, this was probably, I would have to say,
Was that the
around 2010, 11, around that time.
Okay.
California had Prop 19, and that was marijuana legalization for recreational use, and the public was just going to vote on it.
Yeah.
Well, the public actually at that time voted not to.
Wow.
Which is, it was odd.
Yeah.
But then after the fact, then people went back and started looking at the ad campaigns against it.
It was all Mormons, right?
No, the ad campaigns against it were all pharmaceutical companies and beer and liquor companies. That was the ones who spent the most money on the ad
That's your
campaigns against it.
competition, man.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, I think that speaks volumes in and of itself as to what the drug is capable of.
Yep.
It's not only a medicine; it's also a recreation. That both of those big industries got in.
There you go. That's another one.
Yeah.
Don't pretend.
Yeah.
Don't freaking pretend like you're gonna smoke it because it heals you. Fucking A, man. You're smoking it to get high. A lot of people do. Just who the fuck drinks a fucking beer after
I think
work?
it can be both.
Yeah, it can be both. I mean, who drinks a beer after work? Because it fucking, I don't know.
Well, my first podcast with Brittina, she is doing an experiment where she is controlling her what do you call it? Her gut biome.
Yeah.
Just with craft beer. She's not eating anything else or drinking anything else fermented whatsoever. So it's funny you say that. Like, I actually know somebody who's drinking beer specifically for their gut biome health.
All right.
I mean, she also enjoys them.
Yes.
But, yeah. She found out, hey, they're not pasteurized, so they still got all that good bacteria in there for your. Yep. So
that's why the craft beers have a.
But
have a
I mean, absolutely. I know plenty of people that use cannabis for pain.
Yeah.
I mean, legitimately.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying that in general, when people are trying to get it legalized, it's like, just be open and say, hey, we just want to not have to fucking.
Yeah, well, and I
go
think
to jail
for the most part, that's where the legalization movement is at.
Yeah.
I mean,
because think about a lot of people who smoke it don't do anything.
Yeah.
They're not speeding and being crazy.
Oh, yeah.
They're not robbing places and
Louis Anderson.
It's like
Louis Anderson, the great Minnesota comic, had a bit in the '90s about it that I remember so good. On there, he was talking about that marijuana should just be legal. He's like, I know people that smoke pot. It's like, they're not a danger to anybody. Like, hey, want to go for a walk? They're like, a walk? Let me find my shoe. Yeah. And the only way it's dangerous is just like alcohol. Yep. Like, you get too much in you and you get behind the wheel. That's the way it's dangerous.
Yep. And then the whole aspect of other drugs or whatever. What is it? I just read something that said that 90% of traffic stops when they smell marijuana and take marijuana from you and you get a ticket for it or whatever. That's all they find.
That's all they find. Yeah.
So even then it's like.
Yeah, this idea that it's going to lead to other illegal drugs. Well, it's only because those other drugs are also illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which leads to the next point. The gateway drug theory. Mm-hmm. The gateway drug theory is built on a correlation. Correlation is not cause and effect.
Yeah.
Somebody who likes to freaking do cocaine all the time might actually also smoke marijuana. That doesn't mean that they smoke marijuana and they decided that it's a good idea
for sure.
to do cocaine.
Yeah, the two are so far removed from each other.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like, does somebody like bold red Zinfandel just because they like Ham's beer,
Yeah.
right? Is Ham's is cheap beer the gateway to red wine? That sounds kind of ridiculous,
Hey,
doesn't
wait,
it?
though. Maybe
It's just preference.
maybe when I drink this beer, it makes me want some wine.
Ooh.
Maybe not, though.
Well, that is you've had 1.5 Bauhaus Stargazers. How much wine do you want?
None.
Well, there you go.
I'm good.
What about the Red Bull you had when you came in? What did that lead to? What was that a gateway to?
Wings.
Wings.
Buffalo wings.
Is that why you're talking so fast? The caffeine finally kicked in. Oh, I'm on like 3 cups of coffee. Thank God we took 1 break already.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a piss here real soon. So.
Well, why don't we go ahead and take a break, and we can each use our respective restrooms, and we will be back. I don't know why I say in a minute, because it's literally going to be instantly for you guys. And for some reason, my iPad code isn't working. There we go. Be it for us, unless you got anything else you want to talk about. You got any albums or anything out that you sell at the shows, or
No, we're just working on here and there new songs and stuff. Nothing really new to put out yet, but
okay.
Come check us out.
Yeah, you guys sell merch at the show?
No
merch. Okay, no merch, no albums. Crow Wings, the 29th of January. Let's see, that's 10 days away. I'll be able to get this through post-production before then.
No, February 29th.
February 20th.
Yep.
I'll definitely be able to get it into post-production before then. All right, well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Cliff, thanks for coming in, brother. We'll have to do this again sometime. And thank you for joining us at the Electric Church Podcast. Have a good day, parishioners.